This is something that should be a lot of fun for our viewers. This is a new segment called Flint Theater Live, and we're going to go out to Thom Fielder with Flint playwright Mark Friesen at his farm in Dexter, Michigan. Take it away, Thom. I see we've got a little, our connection isn't quite right when you do field location. Sometimes you have a little problem. Okay, Thom, are you ready to go?
Thanks, Mike. Hi, my name is Thom Fielder, and I'd like to welcome you to Flint Theater Live. It's a new segment of the Hometown Magazine Channel 17 show. I'm here in Dexter, Michigan, at the home of Mark Friesen, a Flint native playwright. Mark, I just want to say it's nice to be here, and you have a beautiful place.
Well, thank you very much, Thom. I'm glad to have you here, and I'm always welcome any of the press to my humble abode.
Mark has a play that's opening in November at Buckham Alley, so we thought we'd interview you and see what your feelings are about the play. And the title of the play is?
Landlord Troy and the Disciples of Cyclone Hallelujah.
That's quite a name. Any particular references in it for anything?
Well, that explains most of the characters in the play. The principal character is Landlord Troy, and his principal antagonists are the Disciples of Cyclone Hallelujah. Cyclone Hallelujah is a character who never makes an appearance in the play. He's kind of the leader of the cult group that tries to move in on Landlord Troy. Troy owns a couple houses in a old residential area, and he's trying to fix them up when these sheet people, who are called sheet people because they dress in sheets, ask if they can stay on his front porch, and he says, I'll do you better than that. If you'll work on my houses, you can stay right in one of my houses. So they gradually try and convert him, and he tries to resist being converted, which is complicated by the fact that his wife is having an argument with him. She leaves town in a huff, and then it ends up coming back for a variety of reasons, irritated that these people are living in the house and keeping John, or Troy that is, from doing his work. There's a little slip there, because the play is based on a true experience that a fellow I know named John Kotarski had. At this point in time, I like to feel that the character of Troy is so much different from John that there should be no confusing him. Unfortunately, some people who know of the experience John had will probably try and read some of what I've written into the character of Troy into the character of John, which, of course, is completely coincidence.
I read the play about a week or so ago, and it was quite funny, I thought. So you would say it's a comedy with absurdism thrown in, or not?
No, I think it's a fairly realistic sex farce. I like to think of it as a farce more than as a straight comedy. It gets absurd at times because there's a dream sequence in it, and so dreams are allowed to be absurd, but that's within the context of reality, whereas a true absurd play has dreamlike qualities which run throughout the play.
Right.
And this is supposed to be pretty realistic.
I heard you went up to rehearsal last week one time?
Yeah.
How's it going?
I was quite pleased with it. All the characters were very well fixed. All the actors had a good concept of their characters, and they had a good feel for the comedy of it. I laughed right out loud. I'm amazed at how funny I am.
I was quite impressed too. Some of those lines I laughed out loud when I read it. Now, who's your director?
A woman named Shannon Marshall, who Shannon ran her own theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico for a while, and she was uprooted by her husband's career, and now she lives in Flint. So I showed her a copy of the play a year ago, and we've been working ever since at getting it produced.
And this is going to be at Buckham Alley Theater, and you open November 1st, correct?
Correct.
And it plays the 3 weekends, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and the 15th, 16th, and 17th.
Very good, Thom.
And that would
really have a command of the numbers.
That would be an 8 o'clock curtain?
So far as I know, I'd say 8 o'clock curtain is a safe bet.
I noticed that I got a flyer from Buckham, and it advertised the show, and it said some nudity. How much nudity?
Well, I wish I knew. They don't tell me everything about that. The way I've written it is that there's a little bit of female frontal upper body nudity. Brief, we would call it, probably lasting no longer than 5 seconds, 15 seconds maybe. And I left it to the discretion of the director and the actors whether they want to go for that or whether they want to wear a bra, which would be fine with me. I just sometimes there's a certain realism that nudity lends itself to that I thought would be attractive in this play. And I've talked to them a couple times, and they seem to be kind of up in the air about it. So you really have to come to see the play to find out.
Well, I do plan to come. When did you write this play?
Well, I started writing this play in 1983. And it was part of my project. I was at the University of Texas in a playwriting program there. And the first draft of it came out to be 30 pages long, which is about a half an hour. And people said, there's not enough there. You got to do something more with it. So I wrote it again, and it was 50 pages. And I wrote it again, and it was 80 pages. And I wrote it again, and it was 140 pages. And people said, it's too long. So then I trimmed it down to what it is about now, 110 pages or so. And plus, I trimmed out a lot of the fat, so it wasn't so much just that the play was too long as there was too much stuff that wasn't interesting in it.
Right.
And even in the past couple weeks, I've done a couple of revisions for Shannon, and Shannon's worked on some cuts which she's shown to me and said, couldn't we do it just as well without this?
Well, how many plays do you think you've written in your career?
I would guess around 25. This is actually one of 2 full-length plays that I've written. Most of the plays I write are short, one-act plays, usually around 30 to 45 minutes long. My biggest claim to fame is Puss in Boots, which is a children's play that I got published in a small publishing firm in Chicago. And my other full-length play was produced at Crossroads Village for one summer, Gertrude Garrison and the Cascade of Happiness Celebration.
Medicine show type show?
Well, it had that element in it, yes.
I remember that show. Yeah. I remember some contract dispute between you and Marianne, too.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing about this business is you can't take anything for granted. You got to get it all hammered out in writing. Although here we are at Landlord Troy, we're taking everything for granted. Everything's on a handshake, and you say, yeah, we'll split everything 50-50. There is a possibility if a lot of people come to see the show that I'll end up actually making money. $2, $3, maybe $4.
Do you find it conducive writing plays here on your farm?
Well, no. The farm offers too many distractions. And it's too easy for me to say, well, I better not try and write today because I have to get out and shovel manure, for instance. And sometimes there's just things that seem so pressing to me, I don't write for weeks at a time. Whereas when I was in school, I find that to be the most conducive, is when you're in a class that says you have to get something done by a certain time, that's when you get something done by a certain time.
Yeah, working under that deadline.
Yeah.
I hear you're working on a new play?
Yeah, I just started a new play about the environment, kind of a commedia-based play, where one of the characters wants to suck everybody up into selling, not selling, but giving their garbage to him to put down in a well so that it will be a safe place to keep it. And he ends up poisoning the water supply and getting into a lot of trouble. So it's a play that would take place in medieval times, but it would have definite ramifications for today's environmentally conscious audience.
When John was telling me about this play, and Enemy of the People by Ibsen sprang to my mind.
I need to read that one.
Well, I like Ibsen a whole lot, and that's a good one. But it has to do with the town's springs, and they get contaminated, and this one doctor wants to close them down, but everybody says, no, you can't close them down. This is where we make our money. This is why the town gets famous.
Pretty much the same plot as Jaws, by the way, right?
Yeah. I think it's one of those old ones that the Greeks started and everyone's been using since. One of my favorite plays that you've written was John Conscience, or The Big Flood. What is the line that John writes on the bathroom wall?
The truth can only be found in the acceptance of inherent contradiction.
That is one of my all-time favorite lines. Just,
That's pretty much my my motto for life. Whenever I start to feel down about anything, I just say, the truth can only be found in the acceptance of inherent contradiction. What's the inherent contradiction here? And I'll accept it, and then I feel all better.
That's great. We're joined now by Mark's son Fletcher.
Hi.
And a friend. Hi.
Boy, like that your mom went.
Hey, what's that red stuff on your face?
Oh, face paint.
Face paint.
He's the one who likes it.
Careful my glasses, buddy.
Whoa! Crazy man.
So, have any plans to produce any more plays in the near future?
Well, I have a Christmas play called Santa's Elves on Strike, which I'm just now getting the music done for, and I'd like to do a read-through of it with the music, and then hopefully produce that next Christmas. That's the biggest plan I have right now. All of my plays are available for production if anyone ever wants to do them. I have a couple which are particularly well suited to high school settings. I have one that's got only 5 women in it, 1 man, which is a lot of times you've got a situation where women aren't getting enough acting possibilities.
All right.
And of course, there's Puss in Boots, which is now on the open market because the publisher is out of business. So if anybody ever wants to do that, that's a pat play. It can be done with anywhere from 4 actors to 15 actors. That's a good high school play, I think.
Yeah, possibly we could put together a touring children's theater.
Yeah.
Dr. Prola had the group that did the Boston Tea Party out of ULIN before.
Right.